Hey folks, Paul Essery here, and I'm delighted this afternoon to be with Murat Tunaboylu from Antiverse. Murat, thank you for taking a bit of time out from your hectic schedule. I know you're just in the midway through a big funding round, so I know you've got plenty to keep you occupied. And although I understand that funding round's going pretty well, so well done on that. But thank you for taking a bit of time out to come and talk to us because I know you're super busy. So, I mean, for the folks that might be listening or watching, I mean, tell us a bit about yourself and tell us a bit about the business, and then we'll sort of talk about the technology piece in a second.
Happy to. Thank you for the invite. My name is Murat. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Antiverse. My background is in electrical engineering and computer science. I spent some time in Turkey, then moved to Europe thanks to my family. They said, go there, broaden your horizons. And then around 2010, my father got diagnosed with lung cancer. They usually catch it very late. That's the problem, stage 4. So that was emotionally, but also financially difficult time. My takeaway was I need to be better prepared if this ever happens to my family again, and financially better prepared. So I switched to finance because that's the best paid industry. At least it was in Prague. After that, I became a consultant. I opened up a company in Prague, really chasing safety in a financial form. I was opening up another company in London and preparing for it. As I was going through the motives, got a job offer in Ireland, a high-frequency trading company. It's an American one as well. So I spent there a year. And during that time, I've seen how much resources they have in terms of human capital, but also the actual capital they can put in good use. And I was feeling that, oh, maybe we can use some of this to directly attack the diseases, right? So that was a wake-up call for me. So I quit that job, moved to UK, became a bioinformatician in a beautiful company called Singer Instruments in Minehead, if you know the place, West Coast. And we were building robots to automate E. coli and yeast-based cancer research assays. I did that for 2 years and a bit. Then I felt like now I know a little bit more to give it a go on my own. So I was looking for opportunities, found an accelerated program in London called Deep Science Ventures, and they gave me a shot. So this is January 2017. I said, look, I can automate hardware, software, wetware, but I need somebody smarter than me to look at that data and build a mathematical model so that we can engineer new therapies. And I was lucky enough to meet my co-founders there. Ben Holland, who is the CTO of the company, I met him there as well. That's how it all started. 3 months later, we had this Dragon's Den type of setup at Deep Science Ventures. They gave us the first check. And 7.5 years later, here we are.
And tell us a little bit about, just for people that aren't familiar with it, just a little bit about what Antiverse does. We'll talk about tech in a second, just what it does so that people understand that.
I think in a nutshell, what we do, we engineer antibodies. I don't know if the audience would be familiar with that term, but I hope they would now after COVID. Everybody has, I think their understanding of the space is much higher. So antibody is a molecule that your body develops as a defense mechanism. However, it doesn't produce the right type of antibody for all sorts of issues out there. So therapeutics companies, the big pharma, noticed this, and then they engineered new antibodies for a variety of different diseases. And the tools they have used are usually fall under discovery. So they try so many different things, and then they try to find one. We think that there should be a more rational approach to this, a more engineering approach. So you go from the first principles and build an antibody, and hopefully that antibody will be the one that connects to this pathogen or the cancer or whatever you're going after and have a therapeutic effect. So that's what we do. We use artificial intelligence and some wet lab-based techniques to create a bunch of new treatments, hopefully.
Yeah, well, I mean, what a great idea to create the stuff. I mean, I think that's very impressive. So tell us a bit more. I mean, tell us, you've explained what the company does. I mean, tell us a bit about the technology, but more importantly, tell us why what you do enables those companies to do things that they can't really do currently. That idea of an engineering approach is a bit more systematic. I think that's really what you're saying, isn't it? Tell us about that.
That's right. So there are two problems in that space. There are a bunch of receptors on the cell surface. I don't want to get too detailed, but technical. You have this disease state because something is wrong with that receptor. It's either overstimulated or understimulated. So you want to attach to that receptor and do something. It is a very, very difficult job. There are hundreds of transmembrane receptors associated with 60 plus diseases, and we have only 3 antibodies with FDA approved against this group of targets. So there's a huge amount of interest and work, but not a lot of results. So 2 problems. One of them is we call it an iceberg problem. You try to bind to this receptor, but most of it is inside the cell, and you cannot go there with a big molecule. So you are trying to hit something very, very small. So that's the first challenge. The second one is a forest problem. You want to hit this receptor, but it is hidden among a forest of other receptors. So identifying that and getting there is quite difficult. So we developed 2 things to kind of overcome these challenges. One of them, we build a programmable cell line, a type of cell that can overexpress that receptor, having more copies of it, more trees, if you will, so that your chances of hitting that is higher. And then the second one for the iceberg problem, rather than trying randomly, generating some antibodies and hoping that some of them will hit this, the tip of the iceberg, we build a proprietary database, train some models that have a higher chance of generating an antibody that is fit or designed for that particular receptor. So combination of those 2, and being able to design specific antibodies, and then also making the cell more available to identify and hit that receptor, gave us a differentiation. And with that, we go to big pharma, and they give us their Mission Impossible projects, the ones that they tried everything but failed, and they say, okay, maybe you can do some difference.
Wow. Well, I mean, what an exciting prospect. I mean, that's brilliant, really. I mean, just as a quick question before we move on to the next one, I mean, how did you come up with the idea? I mean, it's a brilliant idea. Where did that come from? Because it's so different to the way that other people are doing it. I mean, where did that come from?
I think the idea itself is not that novel, and people always try to bring engineering concepts into biology. But I think, and it has been tried before, like AI was a thing, and people really got burned by that. And there is a lot of now people shy away a little bit from. There's some resistance now with AI in the context of biology. Okay. However, we believe now the time is right, because there are 2 reasons. One of them, if you're an AI company, you're a data company. And now with the current technologies like next generation sequencing and so on, you can generate more data cheaply. Okay. The technology just matured up sufficiently so that certain AI algorithms can run on these relevantly cheaply generated data. The second thing is the models. Models became so advanced in the last couple of years that it started to match the complex of biology. I think that was always the problem. Like we had a very, very complex problem, but we just didn't have the tools to model and deal with it. Now we have the ML tools or the AI tools, and we have ways to generate a lot of data. So that 2 combined, we thought that, okay, now we are at a place where this might work. And we had our first chat at it. We demonstrated that it works in a certain context, in a sandbox and so on back in 2017. It gave enough confidence investors to put a little bit money. And since then, we are in that cycle of validate a little bit more, get a little bit more funding, so on and so forth.
Okay, well done. I mean, I think it's a brilliant idea. I mean, you've obviously been on a bit of a journey. I mean, when you look back over the last few years, I mean, what have been the big challenges that you've had to overcome, and how do you do that?
Where to begin? I think I don't want to scare anybody off, and among your audience, there might be people who want to be entrepreneurs as well. If your heart is in the right place, as in if you have an intrinsic motivation to make this happen, you will make it happen. Doesn't matter how difficult it gets. Obviously, there's a huge element of luck with any kind of problem you face. But I feel like we had our fair share of issues or opportunities, if you want to call it that way. It is with the investors, it's with the staff, it's with the business development, you name it. But if I had to pick one, I would say investment has not been an easy thing for us. We are a UK-based company, although we expanded to US and now expanding to Czech. I think if you want to set up a biotech company, probably UK is the best place to be in Europe. But now, given that we had some exposure from US, I think it might be sensible to look at least the East Coast if you're just starting. There's a different mentality in terms of investment, risk appetite, and so on and so forth. And many people, I think, would agree with that.
And how did you overcome that problem? I mean, lots of entrepreneurs talk about the fact that raising money is a real challenge, particularly at the moment. I mean, do you have any particular thoughts on what it was that enabled you to crack that nut?
After the accelerator, we were lucky to have a group of angels in the Cambridge circle. Like being, I think, close to a network was very helpful. Yeah. And after that, it was a lot of hard work.
Yeah. I get that totally.
One thing that worked surprisingly, so obviously everybody says that go get some warm connections, right? And warm introductions have the best conversion rate. That's fine. But many of the investors that we have in the latest rounds, they are a result of a cold call. Just picking up the phone, saying what we do, that we know that you're interested in this space. It seems like what we do might be a good fit for your investment thesis. Let's have an intro call, and we took it from there.
Wow. Well done. I mean, you know, you raised quite a lot of money, and for a very good cause, I think. So, I mean, like I said, well done on that. I mean, but tell us about the forward view. I know you've got quite extensive ambitions. I mean, tell us, you know, over the medium to long term. I mean, what is it? What impact you want to have? What is it you want to achieve? What are your ambitions for the business going forward? I mean, tell us about that dimension.
Because we are in the circle of other startups that are doing almost science fiction like things, like regrowing limbs and reversing age and all of that stuff.
There's a lot of clever stuff, isn't there?
It's the best age to be sick. There are so many new treatments available that I'm really impressed with the amount of new research and technology and application of it coming is unheard of. Now, I think if you want to have that as a community, it's possible to reach, at least technologically speaking, a disease-free world, right? It's not maybe that near future, but we might be able to get that many of the very, very difficult diseases of our time, I think people agree that they will be manageable conditions in a few years from now. We are understanding the biology more and more, and as we understand the biology more, we will be able to modulate, treat, cure a lot of the conditions. Antiverse's role in it is that at the moment, maybe you heard it or audience might have, the journey of a drug from an idea to the market, they say, is 10, 15 years long journey and $2 billion of investment. Obviously, that's not a way to scale things, right? I mean, and we have seen that we can do better if we want to, if the right incentives are in place. We want to change that. We want to produce treatments faster, cures faster, many-fold, and much faster. So we are not the only company out there. The term for these AI companies in the biology space are called tech bio. There's a wave of tech bio companies are coming, and the promise of it is more treatments faster, and hopefully we'll be able to deliver on that.
Well, I mean, good luck if you can, and what a great outcome. It'd be worth all the money if that happens, won't it? I mean, so and I have to say I appreciate your ambition. I mean, trying to get to a point, even to think that we might get to a point where there's a disease-free world is a pretty big ambition, and it's great that you're thinking that way and that your company's making such good progress on it. I mean, it's very impressive. So well done. And I mean, thank you for taking the time out to come and share that with us, Murat. I mean, it's really interesting and inspiring, actually, and great. I mean, just great, and come back in a year or two and let us know how you're getting on. It would be interesting to see how things play out. Probably not quite as we expect, inevitably, but it would be very interesting to hear how it goes.
I would very much be happy to do that. If you look at other biotech companies out there, maybe you see a difference in the next 5 to 10 years, not 1 or 2 years, but happy to have a few calls here and there and see how we fare.
Yeah, tell us about progress. That's what we want to know about. It's great. Murat, thank you for that. And we will touch base again, no doubt.
Thank you very much. Pleasure.
Bye-bye.